Good evening and welcome to the broadcast. These are the stories topping our agenda tonight.
The judiciary must be mindful of the effects of its actions on the other arms of government.
We will continue ruling in favor of the government sometimes and against it at other times as guided by the law and the evidence that is placed before us.
Marking of territories as the executive and judiciary come face to face. Losers and winners as Kenya concludes election of members to regional assembly. Who will be new Council of Governors chair? We'll be live from Diani in Kwale.
Mwenyekiti hiki simuoni, nikimaliza speech nitakikalia.
And taking the reins of power when the boss is away and all its sweetness. That's on Bullseye. Thanks for joining us. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. Tonight, our sign language interpreter is Flora Atieno. To our top story, and the executive and the judicial arms of government have both dug in their heels in a show of independence. The judiciary, through the Chief Justice, David Maraga, says it will dispense of justice in a fair and just manner, regardless of whether the client is the government or not. Well, this as the executive, through President Uhuru Kenyatta, asked the judiciary to be wary of the impact of its actions on the government and the general population. NTV's Brenda Wanga reports.
It was a rare meeting of all heads of the three arms of government, the executive, the legislature and the judiciary, for the launch of the State of the Judiciary annual report for this year. Here, the underlying tensions that have characterized relations amongst these three were on display.
As far as the judiciary is concerned, the government comes to us just like any other party before court.
The judiciary had in the just concluded elections been at loggerheads with the executive, especially over the nullification of the August presidential election result. The president then was amongst those who criticized the Supreme Court in particular over that ruling. But today,
You also ought to accept that criticism comes with the office, whether in the media, in journals, in public baraza, social media, and indeed even from me. Kenyans will say what they have to say, and most of the time it will not be flattering. However, that is democracy. And as I have learned anyway, that one or two things in response. First is simply just grow a thick skin, CJ.
We will continue ruling in favor of the government sometimes and against it at other times as guided by the law and the evidence that is placed before us.
while the different arms of government flexed their muscles at the meeting, they seemed united in their commitment to tackling graft within their respective areas of jurisdiction. The judiciary, on its part, concedes that it is grappling with the vice.
There are a few of us who are corrupt, we must admit, and we are catching up with them. As we report in this report, we have taken disciplinary action against 127 judicial officers and staff who are either on suspension or interdiction as we pursue our policy of zero tolerance to corruption.
The fight against graft is just one of the issues that the report launched today deals with. According to the report, the judiciary is closing the year on a high after reducing the caseload significantly to just 500,000 cases, down from 1 million in 2010. This has been informed by the deliberate move to increase the number of judges and courts in the country.
And we have embarked on an accelerated case clearance program to conclude all cases that are over 5 years by the end of next year.
The judiciary, however, wants the government to increase the budgetary allocation to enable it further improve infrastructure and consequently guarantee fast and efficient service delivery. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Now, intense lobbying, family ties, political affiliation and political patronage played a big role in the election of Kenya's members to the East Africa Legislative Assembly. The 9 who were elected last night will be sworn in next week, Monday. Ken Mijungu examines the intrigues that saw winners celebrate and losers cry foul.
Kenya becomes the last country in East Africa region to submit its members to the East Africa Legislative Assembly. Last evening, the names were settled on after secret balloting that went on late into the night. The Jubilee list has Simon Mbugua, Florence Jematia Segon, Eden Mohamed Noor, Mpuri Aburi and Wanjiko Muihia, while NASA is represented by Kennedy Musyoka, Abdikadir Eden, Dr. Oburu Odinga and Fatuma Ibrahim Ali. Kennedy Musyoka, the son of NASA co-principal Kalonzo Musyoka, had the highest votes at 309, followed by former Kamukunji Member of Parliament Simon Mbugua at 286 and Florence Jematia at 252. Oburu Odinga, the elder brother of NASA leader Raila Odinga, had 243. Former Balambala Member of Parliament Abdikadir Aden had 235 votes. Former Tigania East Member of Parliament Mpuri Aburi, 208 votes. Former Mandera North Member of Parliament Eden Noor Mohammed, 192 votes. Former Nyandarua Women Representative Wanjiko Muihia, 180 votes, and former Wajir Woman Representative Fatuma Ibrahim Ali, 142, the lowest cast votes. Those who lost out of the vote includes NASA Chief Executive Officer Norman Magaya. The advocate is said to have fallen out of favor with both Jubilee and NASA legislators due to his manner of doing things. As the CEO, Magaya is said to be too firm and abrasive in the way he handles his duties. For Jubilee, his straight shooting, especially during the political season, may have earned him political foes. It's also said that the members of parliament decided to have one of their own at the East Africa Legislative Assembly and considers Magaya an outsider. The reason Oburu Odinga was preferred to Magaya. In a tweet posted on his page, Magaya says he will never compromise his ideals to get a job from anyone. For the young, Musyoka intends lobbying and the father's connection in the corridors of the august house worked to his advantage. The other big loser was Charles Nyachai, who tried his hand in local politics in his Gusii backyard but lost. The legislators will be sworn in next week on Monday for a 5-year term, setting off activities at the Arusha-based assembly. The assembly, which draws its membership from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda and Burundi, legislates on matters touching on the community. It also discusses and approves the budget of the community and considers the annual reports of the community, amongst other key responsibilities. It has a total of 52 members, 45 elected and 7 ex-officials. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
Governors have been meeting since 6 p.m. at the Diani Reef Resort in Diani, Kwale County to choose new officials for the Council of Governors. Josephat Nanok and Salim Mvurya are going for the chairman position. And we can now link up live with NTV's Peter Mwangangi, who is attending the governors' meeting. Peter, what else do we know?
More than 3 hours meeting, an issue that was supposed to have taken slightly less time to decide who will be the chairperson of the Council of Governors has taken more than 3 hours, and the answer lies in a room just a few meters from where we are standing right now as media, waiting for that announcement. But just a few minutes before we went on air, we were learning that the governor of Turkana County may just pull a surprise move and be re-elected as the next, or rather retain his seat as the chairperson of the Council of Governors. But that we have to wait until we see what happens there. Of course, governors have been moving up and down after they decided to appoint, or rather elect, the next Council of Governors chairperson by means of consensus and not by way of voting. So that is what is happening right now. We are just waiting, and also it may take longer because we also expect the election for the vice chairperson of the Council of Governors. So that is what we are waiting. Maybe they might announce the next chairperson today or tomorrow during today, or rather opt for Deputy President William Ruto to unveil the next chairperson of the Council of Governors tomorrow during the closing ceremony. Of course, we are also waiting to see who will be the next vice chairperson of the Council of Governors and who will be elected into the 18 committees of the Council of Governors. We are keeping an eye on all that, and we will be keeping you updated on everything that happens here at Diani, Kwale County. Smriti.
All right, Peter, thanks very much indeed for that update. And as you say, more from you as and when the developments take place. All right, now here is some welcome news as we draw in the new year. People living with HIV/AIDS will continue to get the much-needed ARV drugs after the government of Kenya signed a deal with the Global Fund that will see the Ministry of Health and other partners receive 25 billion shillings in the next 3 years. And under the agreement, 13 billion shillings will go towards tuberculosis and malaria interventions. Leila Mohammed has the details.
About 1.5 million Kenyans living with HIV and AIDS depend on antiretroviral drugs. The burden of accessing these drugs has fallen on the shoulders of the national government, which today signed a deal to receive 25 billion shillings between January 2018 and June 2021.
The government has allocated 10.2 billion Kenya shillings for the period 2018 to 2021.
While the Ministry of Health will channel 17.9 billion shillings through county governments towards HIV testing services, ART treatment, elimination of mother-to-child infections and much more, the Kenya Red Cross will use 7.1 billion shillings towards projects related to HIV management.
These services are entirely free, courtesy of this partnership.
The Global Fund has received Kenya's contribution of 5 billion shillings, and this makes the country a key partner in the achievement of a global goal of 20% of budgets going to healthcare.
This grant will also offer county governments an opportunity to work closely with national government institutions, civil society, the private sector, faith-based organizations, and development partners in realizing the objectives of reducing the spread and impact of these diseases on economic development.
Under the 38 billion shilling grant, malaria will receive 6.7 billion shillings. 5.4 billion will be managed by the Ministry of Health via the National Treasury, while 1.3 billion will be managed by AMREF Kenya. Much of this will go towards provision of 7.9 million long-lasting nets and 6.3 million doses of ACT drugs.
Not do it alone. No one can do it alone. We must all play our part, and AMREF Health Africa is therefore privileged to bring its technical expertise and experience into this partnership.
We should be aiming to almost be 100% in terms of the absorption rate so that we can ask Global Fund for more resources for that matter.
The government recently banned usage of one of the anti-malarial drugs after tests confirmed it was contaminated.
What was found was a particular batch, linking directly to a particular manufacturer.
In the quest to cover 1 million Kenyans from the 3 deadly diseases in the country, the fund will set aside 6.3 billion towards TB treatment, the money administered by the Kenya government and AMREF. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Now, Kenya leader Martha Karua has moved to the Court of Appeal in Nyeri to challenge a decision by the High Court to dismiss her petition against the election of Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru. Karua wants the ruling by Lady Justice Lucy Gitari of the Kerugoya High Court set aside, saying the judge was biased in the matter and was applying double standards. Well, the former Justice and Constitutional Minister faulted the judge for capping the costs of the suit at 10 million shillings to her, saying the move and the figure was punitive since the case had not proceeded to hearing. According to the Memorandum of Appeal filed at the Appellate Court Registry in Nyeri through lawyer Gitobu Emanyara, Karua said that the judge blundered by striking out the case after conducting a pre-trial conference and fixing dates for the hearing of the main suit. In the petition, Karua and her proposed Deputy Governor, Gashoko Gitari, named Governor Waiguru and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission as respondents. In the disputed poll results, Governor Waiguru garnered 161,373 votes, while Martha Karua got 122,091 votes. Kenyan-based scholar Calestus Juma, who was named as one of the most reputable people in the world in June, is dead. Juma, who was a professor teaching graduate courses in science, technology and development policy and biotechnology at Harvard University, was the only Kenyan to be listed in the inaugural list of the 2017 most reputable people on earth. Well, the list of 100 is of individuals who have, quote, amassed a high reputation for themselves through the work that they have been engaged in, end quote. Professor Juma was one of the most sought-after experts in the fields of science, technology and innovation and sustainable development in both developing and developed countries. Well, his career began back in 1974 as a teacher in Mombasa, and in 1978 he actually became the first science and environment journalist in the Daily Nation. And in the June list of fame, Juma featured along Bill Gates, Barack and Michelle Obama and even the Pope. In 2012, 2013 and 2014, he had been listed among the most influential 100 Africans by the New African magazine. Professor Juma died while undergoing treatment in Boston, Massachusetts, that's in the States, and a family source told the Nation that the scholar, who hailed from Budalangi in Busia County, that he had been unwell for the past 2 years. And sadly, Professor Juma's mother was buried just 2 weeks ago, but because of his sickness, he was not able to attend the funeral. A real loss. May he rest in eternal peace. Right, on that note, let's take a break here on NTV Weekend Edition. There is more coming up, including...
Do things maybe inadequately, that's not a crime. And if there's an inadequacy somewhere, it can be corrected, which we are doing at the moment.
Why 3 million titles issued by Jubilee administration could be declared invalid. back. 3 million title deeds issued by the Jubilee administration since 2013 could be cancelled by Tuesday next week. Well, this follows the expiry of a year-long deadline given by the court for the regularization of the same, but the Ministry of Lands is yet to comply. Well, the ministry is now seeking for an extension of the deadline.
It is not all smiles now for the Jubilee administration as it emerges that the over 3 million title deeds that were handed over around the country since 2013 were illegally processed and stand to be cancelled. This was one of the first deliverables for the Jubilee government in the name of fulfilling a campaign promise, and the leaders were quite pleased with themselves. But on December 19th last year, the High Court, through Justice Joseph Onguto, ruled that the over 3 million title deeds were illegal as they were issued without the involvement of the National Lands Commission, something the Minister for Lands today acknowledged.
And to appreciate the fact that sometimes we all have weaknesses. We may do things maybe inadequately. That's not a crime. And if there's an inadequacy somewhere, it can be corrected, which we are doing at the moment.
The titles were also found to have been issued without the enactment of required regulations by Parliament, although the appointed task force prepared a final draft that was forwarded to National Assembly and Senate on 27th of November. It wasn't tabled as Parliament went on recess yesterday. The Ministry of Lands is admitting a mistake on its part, and an otherwise fire-breathing Kaimenyi is pleading for a 6 months extension to the 19th of December deadline.
So for me, really, it's an appeal, and I don't expect them not to extend. For obvious reasons, I hope you know what I mean. You can imagine, I don't know whether you own a piece of land somewhere with a title deed. If somebody wakes up one morning and decides that title deed is illegal, how would you feel?
If that plea is not granted, then over 3 million title deeds Jubilee granted will be declared null and void. Mark Masai, NTV.
All right, we'll certainly be keeping an eye on those developments. We are taking another break here on NTV's Weekend Edition, but the business news is coming up next with Laban Cliff Onserio, and here's a little bit of what it includes. How manufacturers and government are planning to deal with plastic bottles waste.
Greetings. This is NTV Business News. My name is Laban Cliff on Syria. Before we get into the meat of the business news, allow us to take you directly to the Diani Reef Hotel, where we have some breaking news for you. Council of Governors Chairman, that's Governor Nanok, is speaking right now. Let's take a listen.
Consensus, as is required by law, by Intergovernmental Relations Act, Section 19, that will steer the agenda of devolution. We have unanimously agreed that Governor Josphat Nanok of Turkana County will be the chairperson of the Council of Governors for 6 months to complete his one-year term, after which the Council has also decided that His Excellency Governor Salim Mvurya of Kwale County will take over. Her Excellency Anne Waiguru of Kirinyaga County will be the vice chairperson. His Excellency Mohammed Ali of Marsabit County will be the chief whip. Furthermore, pursuant to Section 23 of the Intergovernmental Relations Act 2012, the Council of Governors undertakes its mandate through committees, and currently there are 18 committees. To fast-track implementation of programs and activities of the Council of Governors, the following are the various chairs and members, various chairs as elected. 1, Agriculture Committee, His Excellency Okoth Bando of Migori County. Arid and Semi-Arid Lands Committee, His Excellency Moses Kasaine of Samburu County. Cooperatives and Enterprise Development Committee, His Excellency Fahim Twa of Lamu County. Education, Youth, Gender, Sports, Culture, and Social Services, His Excellency Professor Paul Chepkwony of Kericho County. Finance, Commerce, and Economic Affairs Committee, Her Excellency Dr. Joyce Laboso of Bomet County. Health Committee, His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Kuti of Isiolo County. Human Resources, Labor, and Social Welfare Committee, His Excellency James Ongwae of Kisii County. Information, Technology, and Communication Committee, His Excellency Alex Tolgos of Elgeyo Marakwet County. Infrastructure and Energy Committee, His Excellency Francis Kimemia of Nyandera County. Intergovernmental Relations Committee, His Excellency Stephen Sang of Nandi County. Legal Affairs and Human Rights Committee, His Excellency Professor Kivutha Kibwana of Makueni County. Resources Mobilization Committee, His Excellency Muthomi Njuki of Tharaka Nithi County. The Rules and Business Committee, it's an internal committee. All chairs of various committees will be members, and this particular committee will be chaired by the Vice Chair of the Council of Governors, Governor Anne Waiguru of Kirinyaga County. Security and Foreign Affairs Committee, His Excellency Martin Wabora of Embu County will chair. Tourism and Wildlife Committee, His Excellency Samuel Oletunai of Narok County will chair. Trade, Industry and Investment Committee, His Excellency Wycliffe Wangam.
Some breaking news out of Diani, where it has been announced that Governor Josphat Nanok will be chairman of the Council of Governors for the next 6 months, and after which we'll have Salim Mvurya take over from him for the other 6 months. Of course, that is in the calendar year, assisted by Anne Waiguru to deputize Salim Mvurya after the 6 months service by Governor Nanok. Our reporter in Mombasa, that's Peter Mongangi, has been camping at Diani Reef Hotel. He'll be briefing us with all the details, of course, and the full list of the chairpersons of the various committees under the Council of Governors. Moving on, the Kenya Revenue Authority has stepped up the surveillance of the cargo scanning process that's at the Port of Mombasa, with a real-time monitoring of activities there, also looking at the customs supervision and command centers in Nairobi. Now, the secure facility is expected to reduce corruption involving the import of underdeclared or misdeclared goods that reduce the authorities' tax collections. Alex Mwangi now reports.
A truck enters the cargo scanning facility based at the port of Mombasa to have its cargo scanned for verification purposes. Except that this is a view from the Customs Supervision and Command Center of the Kenya Revenue Authority somewhere in Nairobi.
The images you have there.
The implementation of the Integrated Customs Management System, or ICMS, has made viewing of real-time scanning of the cargo possible, enhancing the verification of the process. The addition of extra pairs of eyes in monitoring the scanning process will hopefully reduce corruption through collusion between rogue KRA officials and cargo owners or transporters.
The person in Mombasa or at a remote border point or wherever else who is carrying out the scanning is actually in contact and conversation with the owner of the cargo. And if you do not build in adequate controls to deal with that interaction, then you have serious problems. And we have had serious problems. Even early this week, we know one of our staff was arrested by the EACC because of issues to do with the management of scanner operations.
In this case, I don't see anything. I can also change my color.
KRA currently conducts 675 scans per day and on average makes about 40 high-impact interventions daily, each resulting in a recovery of about 500,000 shillings, revenue that would have been lost if not for modernizing the scanning facilities. Another vice that KRA hopes to tackle with the new technology is misdeclaration or underdeclaration of goods.
When people bring in cargo, you bought it at 100 shillings, and you want to do a declaration at 40. And with this system now, we have the capacity through research to build in benchmarks into the system, a feature which enables customs to use system inbuilt values to interrogate declarations that fall outside tolerable limits, and this will be without human intervention.
KRA has also opened a regional electronic cargo tracking system monitoring center where the transit of high-risk goods is under surveillance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
When we affix our gadget and we arm, these officers view those trucks that way. You can even tell the speed it is moving at. Now, for trucks also, if they don't observe the speed limits in given areas, they call the driver and they tell him, you are exceeding the limits, this cargo is under bond, taxes are not paid, please drive slowly.
ICMS is taking over from the Simba system, which has served the authority for 12 years. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
So question, how do you dispose of plastic bottles you use? Are you one of those people who throws them out the window of your vehicle on the roads, or do you just simply leave them where you are sitting when you get up to leave? Well, starting January, you may have to take that bottle with you to designated points to dispose of it. This is part of the plan that the Kenya Association of Manufacturers will be implementing next year, intended to curb pollution from plastic bottles. Zena Bondati now reports.
Waste management is one of the biggest challenges that Kenya has struggled with for years. That is until it took the stand on the ban of the use and manufacture of plastic carrier bags. And now, as the country continues to receive global accolades about this ban, and the Kenya Association of Manufacturers complaining about the impact that this ban has had on them, the same association is moving to ensure that plastic bottles are not banned as well, and has today been here at the Uhuru Park, leading a drive to collect plastic bottles such as these ones and putting them on trucks to take them through to recycling.
The plastic bottle manufacturing industry has an estimated annual turnover of 100 billion shillings, which the manufacturers are keen to protect. And so all 176 of them involved in the manufacture of plastic bottles turned up for the cleanup. The Kenya Association of Manufacturers says that this cleanup is just the first step of managing plastic waste.
Next year, from January, we are going to start a spirited awareness campaign, starting with schools, institutions of higher learning, and the general public to raise awareness on the need to dispose of your waste in the right way.
The manufacturers say they will also put up several collection points for the plastic bottles in order to provide Kenyans with a place to dispose of the bottles after use. The bottles will then be collected and recycled into various other products, such as construction materials. Since the government implemented the ban on plastic carrier bags, there have been hints of a ban on plastic bottles. The Ministry of Environment says it has been engaged in talks with the manufacturers to discuss ways of managing solid waste so that such a ban is avoided. The CS attended this cleanup and called on Kenyans to support the recycling plan.
I'm already forcing Kenyans on the plastic carrier bags. I don't want to get into forcing Kenyans now because you have to change the person's behavior. Of course, we have the legal mandate to do so. But in this case, I think that all Kenyans will come up voluntarily to work with the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, to work with the ministry. The legal measures, I hope, will be the last resort for me.
The collection points will be available in Nairobi only to test its efficacy. But the Kenya Association of Manufacturers says there are plans to roll the program out to the rest of the country as the year progresses. Zainab Wandati, NTV.
Let's now look at other stories making headlines in the business world. The central bank can now proceed and liquidate Dubai Bank following a ruling by the Court of Appeal allowing the regulator to do so. Elsewhere, Uchumi has permanently closed its branch in Karatina, Nyeri County due to a non-renewed lease. Here now is the business roundup. The Court of Appeal has set aside a ruling that had suspended the liquidation of Dubai Bank for 60 days on grounds that the central bank has a right to liquidate banks it regulates. The three-judge bench overturned a ruling made by the High Court in November last year in a case filed by a depositor stopping the liquidation of Dubai Bank. The court also absolved the Central Bank of Kenya of any wrongdoing in its supervisory mandate during the period that the fraud that led to the fall of the bank was perpetuated. More than 300 Nakumatt employees in Nairobi and Mombasa took to the streets to protest over delayed salaries for over 6 months as the retailer continues to struggle with debt. The employees who sought an address from their employers say they will keep protesting until they are paid their dues. The iconic Uchumi Karatina in Nyeri County has been closed for good. The retailer's lease in the building has not been renewed, according to a statement by Uchumi. The supermarket says it regrets the closure even as it continues to restock its other branches. Finally, the Kenya Film and Classification Board, that's KFCB, has called for the relook into media management on innovative content displayed in digital platforms. After the digital migration, KFCB says broadcasters have been presented with opportunities and challenged the government to open up investment. And that's it for NTV Business News tonight. My name is Laban Clifford Seri. You don't want to go too far because there's Bullseye coming up, and here's what you should expect.
very much for staying with us. Now, power is sweet and soothing, and that's what former Minister Ramadhan Kajembe found out over the week. The Mombasa governor went missing, and Kajembe dug his way to the top seat. And it was all bliss as he quickly went into dreamland. Well, this must be the reason why this power thing is addictive, as Emmanuel Juma now reports on Bullseye.
Mwenyekiti hiki Simoni, nikimaliza speech nitakikalia. Mwataka hivyo au hamtaki?
He was living true to the Swahili saying, paka akiondoka
na waajiri wao.
Panya indeed utawala, and tawala he did, not like a panya, but a much, much bigger creature. Kajembe was on the seat of power, and for the few minutes he was here, his name was now Jijembe, a big whore. Now you know why those seats are special and why they fight, bribe, lie, connive just to get there.
Afisa yoyote ya umma anayeshirikiana.
The comfort is deceiving and soothing, and no sooner was Kajembe seated than he was in dreamland. A lot was spoken.
Na kwamba wafanyikazi wetu.
Speeches were made, but Kajembe slept on. Let's just say that Ramadan Saif Kajembe slept for the entire duration of Jamhuri Day celebrations in Mombasa, a ceremony he was attending as the president's point man. Then somebody mentioned president and Kazi.
Ikibidi unahitaji.
Who wants to take my job? He was startled from his sleep. He realized it was only daydreaming, and back to sleep he went. What job has the president given Kajembe anyway?
Leo mimi ni mwenyekiti wa feri. Na unajua hapo tunavusha watu katika kivuko hicho 370,000.
Job description given, it was back to sleep. What do you suppose they were discussing? Should we wake him up? The junior officer asked his senior. No, let us sleeping panya sleep. The senior cop must have responded, and sleep Kajembe did. And you, sir, the man on the cross, what could your name be?
Jina yangu ni Daudi Yesu Otieno.
Jesus? So, David Yesu Otieno, why are you hanging up there?
Niliiba.
Yesu was in trouble here. He had reaped where he had not sown. Tell the world the whole story.
Nilikuwa na kujanga, lakini hiyo ya mwisho ndio nilichukua ufa. Na hiyo ufa haiko mbali.
But gentlemen, why hang him up to dry?
Nataka tufunge hapa leo akae, tupatie maji, tupatie chakula, ashike adabu, wakuwe mfuso kwake wengine ambayo wanaibanga kila mali.
Mimi natoka kwa nyumba yangu nimekuja kutafuta, na yeye kazi yake ni kunyang'anya watu. Ati ni bwana ya bibi. Muizi. Hata tasawa waisi wengi. Sasa tumchome asisai waisi wengi.
Hata vile nakuja hapa.
Indeed, makosa imefanyika.
Sasa hiyo ndio makosa ambayo imenishika kwa wakati sasa. Sasa naomba msamaha kwa sababu sikupenda mimi nimfanyie kitu mbaya.
And did you see this? They are teachers. They teach everything academic to character. Soon, all those behaving badly will be saying, we learned from the best. Emmanuel Juma, Bullseye, NTV.
Talk about being caught on camera. All right, that's it for Bullseye, but do stay with us. Just another quick break. The sports news with Edmund is coming up.
CAF Senior Challenge Cup, after defending champions Uganda went down 2-1 to Zanzibar in the semi-final clash played at the Moi Stadium, Kisumu. Abdulaziz Makame gave Zanzibar the lead in the 22nd minute through a well-worked-out run of play before Nsimbambi Derrick equalized for the Ugandans 7 minutes later. Zanzibar got the winning goal through Mohamed Issa from the spot after Uganda's Joseph Mtubuga was judged to have fouled him inside the box. They will now play Kenya in the final at the Machako Stadium on Sunday after Uganda face off with Burundi in the third place playoff. Kenya and Zanzibar met in the group stage, a match that ended goalless. The Harambee Stars will be gunning for a 7th Senior Challenge Cup title.
Nusu fainali ya CECAFA Senior Challenge Cup. Zanzibar na kwenda finali. Zanzibar Heroes wanakwenda.
Arsenal legend Thierry Henry has hailed Harambee Stars captain Victor Wanyama as the unsung hero of Tottenham Hotspur. Henry says Wanyama's combative style of play and his physicality have seen him fit perfectly in the English Premier League. The 1998 World Cup winner is on a 2-day visit of Kenya as the Guinea's Made of Black ambassador.
When you arrive in the Premier League, that's when you tend to watch and see what a player can do, because then we arrive to reality. That's not an easy league. And so he arrived there, performing well, playing very well. People were talking about him going to some big clubs. Then he went to Tottenham. And I think, I mentioned it last season, I think he's the unsung hero. Victor Wanyama offers something more with that power, the way he drives, the way he loves to defend. And last year he started to score some goals also. That's something that was coming on. Unfortunately for him, he couldn't carry that momentum because he got injured, as you mentioned. But you guys should be proud of what he's doing. You know, not for the first time you have a Kenyan guy doing well there. His big brother was also there doing what he was doing. I remember Oliesh playing for Nantes in France and Ajaccio. We have one in the national team, Divock Origi, playing for us. You have the Olsen brothers that are half Kenyan. I'm sure you guys know that. So yes, but obviously I think the one that people mention the most at the minute is Victor Wanyama, and you should be proud of him and what he's doing. And yes, I still believe he's an unsung hero because of what I mentioned before, because people tend always to go to the guy that scores goals or gives an assist, or the captain, or the guy that we talk the most about.
Champions Elijah Monangoi and Helen Obiri were crowned the Athletics Kenya Male and Female Athletes of the Year 2017 after a successful season, which also saw them nominated for the top IAAF award. While Under-18 Championship stars Leonard Kipkemboi, Immaculate Chepkirui and Mary Mora were also crowned, as Brian Otwal now reports.
World 1500 meters champion Elijah Monangoi and World 5000 meters champion Helen Obiri are this year's male and female athletes of the year after registering successful season this year.
Kipruto also won his third.
Monangoi set the fastest time in 1500 meters at the Monaco Diamond League meeting and flew the nation's flag high at the IAAF London World Championships by winning gold in the event. He beat world marathon champion Geoffrey Kirui and 3000 meters steeplechase champion Conseslus Kipruto to the coveted title.
I think next season I'm looking forward for the Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast. And I'm preparing for Commonwealth in Australia, and I'm looking forward to come home again with a gold. I need that title of Commonwealth Games.
Monangoi also bagged the Middle Distance Athlete of the Year award.
Timothy Cheruiyot is known.
Aside from being named the best female athlete of the year, impressive Obiri also won the Long Distance Athlete of the Year award. Obiri's success this season was evident after winning silver at the Rio Olympics 5,000 meters, as well as winning the World 5,000 meters title in London, silencing her Ethiopian rival Almaz Ayana.
She broke the national 5,000 meters record in Rome in June.
So Kenya nimeshinda mbili ya long distance na female athlete of the year. I think sasa inanipea challenge ya kwenda kutrain, so siendi kulala. So unataka kufanya vyema zaidi ndio watu waone at least ulikuwa na deserve. So I'm going to work extra hard to achieve more.
Other contenders in the Female Athlete of the Year crown were World 1500 meters champion Faith Chemngetich and World Marathon silver medalist Edna Kiplagat.
The winner is Leonard Kipkemboi.
2,000 meters steeplechase when he won.
2,000 meters steeplechase champion at the IAAF World Under-18 Championships Leonard Bett was recognized as the Young Male Athlete of the Year, beating World Under-18 1500 meters silver medalist George Monangoi and 10,000 meters walk race bronze medalist Dominic Dingiti to the crown.
Najifunza kuwa hii ni mwanzo tu, hii nimeanza tu kidogo,
na nataka nifanye vizuri na niendelee nifanye hata miaka mingi kama wao.
And the winner is Karen Chebet.
Karen Chebet!
World Under-18 2,000 meters steeplechase champion Karen Chebet won the female category, trouncing Jacqueline Wamboye and Immaculate Chepkirui. Marathoners Geoffrey Kirui and Edna Kiplagat won the male and female road running athletes of the year awards. Olympic 1500 meters gold medalist Faith Chemgetich won the middle distance athlete of the year.
Marathon in a time of 2 hours.
Mary Mora, World Under-18 400 meter silver medalist, was recognized for her great performance this season, taking home the AK President's Award. Kericho-based Japhet Kemei, who ventured in coaching in 2000, was named Coach of the Year ahead of Bernard Ouma and Barnabas Kitilit.
In 1994, in the world of athletics,
Kenya Secondary Schools Sports Association Chairman Kimutai Ngetich, who died earlier in the year in a road accident, was awarded posthumously the Athletics Kenya Golden Award for his exemplary contribution to athletics in Keringet region. Brian Otwal, NTV.
Congratulations to the winners. Now, sports journalists have been encouraged to read extensively to be able to cover emerging issues in sport, such as widespread doping, match fixing, and age cheating in a more professional way. International Association of Sports Journalists President Gianni Melo and the African Chapter President Mitchell Obi were in the country for a sports journalism symposium this weekend, say the African sports journalists must cover more African sport content before the foreign leagues.
In sport, we have to invest in culture. We have to upgrade the level of thinking of people, even of journalists, because we are going down. And the only thing is that it's necessary to create a school even inside the newspaper. The top guy in the newspaper has to call the young guy and to spend time with them. Even in the newspaper, there is not anymore much control.
No.
And this is wrong.
They need to build our own treasure here at home. We must cultivate our garden. It is critical. There is so much of foreign sports in African sports media that it is beginning to rub off. Yes, it's a global village. Yes. We don't say you should exclude global sports, but we say that you must build your treasure at home.
So we have to turn on the other side. Yeah. Look, are you speaking Swahili?
Very wise words from those experienced journalists. Now, Top Sport, our final show of the year 2017 is tomorrow. We'll be talking about the CECAFA Senior Challenge Cup and also reviewing the year in terms of athletics, rugby, and all the other sporting disciplines. So join us tomorrow from 2 p.m. That's the sports, and back to Smriti to close the bulletin.
All right, Edmund, thanks very much. Indeed, I'm sure there's lots to highlight tomorrow on Top Sport. Yes. All right, well, that is where we leave it on NTV Weekend Edition tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. Thank you to Flora Atieno, our sign language interpreter. The trend starts in a few minutes.
Good night.